Hello, my name is host Eric, and today I wish to speak with you about an important issue in society today, as they would say in an essay that somebody wrote for middle school. Anyway, I want to talk about police violence and why the cops seem to be doing so much stuff, and why there's a large subset of people still who will seem to excuse any behavior by them. I want to talk about why this police violence happens and why it's so difficult to stop. And I want to talk about how change occurs over time regarding people's perspectives on things. I want to do it all in under 10 minutes because I'm starving and I have another video to make before I go to bed. And I'm tired too. But I really want to get this police violence video out anyway. So let's talk about it sort of forward back in terms of time. What's in the news most right now is this Daniel Holtzclaw thing. This cop who abused his ability to threaten people with jail, to force them to let him rape them and then not tell anybody about it, or at least not be believed, right? He extorted them. He said, allow me to violate you and treat you as an object, or I will exert long-term pain upon you. The interesting thing is, this is a power that police have, in general, with what are referred to commonly as disenfranchised people. People who are less likely, or unlikely to be believed, right? Because ultimately, and not just belief, but are unlikely to be able to affect agency meaningfully. And affecting agency meaningfully is not just about being believed, it's also about persistence and knowledge of the channels by which one can change that. Like, it may be the case that anybody coming in has a tough road to hoe against a cop, right? I think that's fair enough to say. The prosecutors are in bed with the cops, in terms of the fact that both of their careers require the same thing to occur for them to have accomplished something and get some sort of professional recognition. Namely, somebody has to get involved in the criminal justice system in a way that allows prosecutors to threaten them to somehow getting a guilty verdict, which is to say, usually a plea bargain, or occasionally they'll go to trial. And they'll follow through on their threats too. They do. Prosecutors do. They follow through on their threats of overcharging people. You know, I won't go into this story. I was on jury duty. We nullified, of course. And every single person in that room nullified. This prosecutor, evil person. That person should be charged with a crime, right? Because there was one black guy, these two drunk white guys kept harassing him. Finally got pissed off, and he hit one of them with a plastic squeegee that broke into a million pieces into the other one. It's like the cheapest little plastic thing in the world. They give it to us in a. I'm telling the story. God damn it. Anyway, it was in a little plastic bag like this, right? And there's a bunch of little plastic pieces. You obviously it's like the shittiest little weak squeegee thing in the world, right? All right. This is what they charged him with. Oh, there was another part to the crime. Sorry. So then, after he hit the guy, the one drunk white kid, he was like 21, 22. And the black guy was like, mid-30s. And he was at the outside window of the gas station. And he had his wallet out and he was paying for something. And these two drunk white guys come up, right? And the two drunk, well, one of them's Asian, actually. One of them's Chinese and one of them's white. But, it was like half Chinese or something. I don't know. Who cares, right? So he was in line, and the guy's like, "Hey man, how you doing?" Like idiots, and he's just like, "Leave me alone." And I'm like, "What the fuck, man? Why you being a dick?" All that kind of shit, right? And they're following him to his car with this shit, and that's when he hit him with a squeegee. Now once he hit him with a squeegee, John, who was the guy who was like the most like, "Why are you being a dick?" shit, right? John goes, "Oh, you hit me. That's a crime. I'm gonna get you arrested." And he goes behind the guy's car, right, and starts like taking pictures of his license plate. He won't get out from behind his car. Won't let him pull back out to leave, right? So the black guy gets out of his car, and he squirts. He tries to squirt John with the pepper spray, okay? But just as John he's about to be sprayed by the pepper spray, John's friend, the half Chinese guy, comes over and like tries to pull John out of the way. And like the timing is such that he pulls John and he goes, and it's like, and it's the half Chinese guy who gets a whole face full of fucking pepper spray, right? So, and then he goes and runs to the gas station window and he gets like milk. He has to pay for it before they give it to him, and then he pours it in his eyes. And then he wants another milk and he has to pay for it again and wait until they give it to him. And then he pours it in his eyes again. Anyway, so he's fine, he got over it quickly enough. And the guy, John, he had a little cut on his head, and the defense lawyer was funny. He's like, "So how bad was that in the shower, you say?" He's like, because John was like, and then, like, it was bleeding, like, that whole night, and, like, in the shower, in the morning. And so then the defense attorney's like, "So, oh, you had a cut on your head, huh? And it bled in the shower. How much blood did that come out?" It's like, "I don't know. It was like, you could see it right there." Just fucking meat it, right? And the defense attorney's like, "Did it bleed the next day?" He's like, "No." He has much more questions. He had a little teeny cut on his forehead or on his head somewhere. Okay, this is what the prosecutor charged his ass with. Assault with a deadly weapon. Simple assault. He's hoping the jury's going to be like, "Oh, well, we can't. I don't want to charge him with it. We don't want to convict him of any of the big crimes. Let's just give the prosecutor the simple assault and split the difference." This is fucking prosecutor's hoping. But everybody in that room was outraged, right? Because they charged him with simple assault, assault with a deadly weapon, and felony assault with a tear gas weapon. Why did they do that? Because he refused to take the deal on simple assault. So, fuck that prosecutor. There was no way in hell that should ever have gone to trial. And, I mean, he's gambling with a man's life. If we had convicted him of all three of those charges, we didn't convict him shit. But if we had, he'd have been in jail for decades. How did that prosecutor live with himself? I don't know. I don't know. He's an evil person. I have no other explanation for it. So, how do we justify all this police violence then? I've got off topic, of course, as usual. Or it's relevant. It's not off topic. How do we what's going on with the fucking cops, right? It's like, is there a sudden rash of police violence? What's happened to cops the last couple of years? They've gotten to be such awful people. Prior to that, they were fine. No. Totally not. Totally not. Prior to that, they were totally doing it constantly, all the time, even more, and nobody was catching them because there weren't these wonderful cell phones with built cameras on them. So, fuck the police going straight from the underground. Now, what I want to say is this. I have never personally had any problem with the police. They don't seem to have a problem with me. And in fact, I've encountered police I think are doing a good job. There are certain circumstances in which I respect the police and what they do. What I do not respect is police culture at all. They have a culture of silence that is indicative of and typical of a criminal organization. They're like organized crime, and instead of like exploiting innocent people for money, what they do is they call a certain percentage of the population of people that people with resources care least about, and convert their lives into what would be profit were it a business, but instead is union protected government job racket shit, Well, we need all these cops. Well, why do we need all these cops? Well, we gotta have a whole bunch of them for the jails. Well, why do we have all these people locked up? Well, because we had to justify having all these cops, so we made a bunch of drug laws and stuff. Well, aren't drugs bad? Okay, well, first of all, even if you're completely right that drugs are horrible, horrible things, you have a burden to show that the laws that you pass to prevent these drugs actually work, that they have solvency. We're going to look at actual impacts. How many lives are ruined by the laws? How many lives are saved by the laws? Now, you cannot compare how many lives are ruined by the laws to how many lives are ruined by drugs. Right? Do you understand why you can't compare that, police apologists? Drug warriors? Do you understand why you can't compare that? It's because you are not exchanging the harms of drug laws for the harms of drugs. That would assume drug laws solve drugs, but they don't. They don't. We've been fighting a drug war since Nixon. Our drug use rates are essentially unchanged. Our incarceration rate is way up. Which means number of good earning, gainfully employed sheriff's deputies and highway patrolmen, prosecutors. Why? It's record numbers for our economy. What is this industry that they engage in? The industry is called convert human beings into a job. Convert their lives into a job. So, why does police violence occur? Well, first and foremost, it occurs because it's a culture of violence, which is to say, they spend a lot of time training on how to use force, when to use force, why to use force. They talk about what makes the use of force acceptable a lot, right? It's necessary that they do if they're going to talk about what makes it unacceptable, which they should. But there are these things called a good shoot. It's a good shoot. It's good that we killed him. Well, not ever good that you killed the suspect. It's potentially... Okay, I'm going to take that back. If somebody is in the middle of firing bullets at people, take them down. Because hopefully you guys won't start firing at everybody else after you're done taking him down. So you're going to save a bunch of lives. Then, good shoot. I'll go for it. If there's a maniac out there and he's got a rifle and he's just like taking pot shots at, there's a toddler over there. There's a lady over there. Lay him out. Absolutely. You cops, that's a good shoot. If that's happening. If he's actively doing that. Now, if he's not firing the gun, and he's also not putting it down, then it's not a good shoot, okay? Unless he points it at you. Even then, if you have the ability to take cover and just let the situation play out, and you have even, okay, look, he's going to have to at least raise his arm and point at somebody before he fires that thing. So I can wait until he does that at least. And you have an obligation to do that. A lot of cops think, An opportunity to kill someone ought to be taken. Hey, this will be a good shoot. No, it'll be a shoot you can get away with. Why would you want to get away with murdering someone is something regular citizens are never going to understand, probably. Because we're not immersed in this culture of violence. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is why it's difficult to get rid of. I know I'm going to 20 minutes. I said 10, I'm going to 20. I'm still starting, but now I've gotten into the flow of things. The reason it's going to be difficult to stop, in part, is people keep attributing to the wrong thing. Everybody keeps screaming about race. Not about race, okay? They don't pick on black people because they don't like black people. They pick on black people because they think they can get away with it. If they thought they'd get away with it with white people, they pick on white people too. Kelly Thomas was white. David Eckert was white. You remember David Eckert's story? If you don't, I'll share a little bit. He's a clenched buttocks guy. Cops pulled him over. They said he looked nervous. They made him stand out of the car. They said he was clenching his buttocks, which they took to be evidence of him having drugs up his ass. They went and got a search warrant, which an attorney signed off on, a prosecutor, of course, which a judge signed. And he took him to one hospital where the doctor said, I refuse to participate in this unethical and egregious and horrific crime that you're about to perpetrate on this man. And then they went to another hospital, and the fucking doctors and nurses there said, okay, let's do this. And they fucking anally raped him against his will, mocked him, had his pants down around his ankles, kept opening the curtain and shit so that people could look, and you never found any drugs, and are still on the fucking police force. Now that's a culture of violence, right? They are looking for regulations to excuse and justify behavior that is morally repugnant to any sane human being. We cannot change the police unless we change our way of understanding what is wrong with them. They are not racists. They're bullies who need victims. To the extent that black people cannot seem to hold them accountable as effectively as white people can, that may be attributed to racism, quote unquote, in society, but it's meaningless to call it that. That's not useful, right? To say that other human beings don't have the right attitude towards other human beings is useless. It's pointless. It's stupid. You're fixating on the wrong thing. If you were not racist, you wouldn't be talking about race. You would instead be talking about natural rights. The police are violating the natural rights of other individual citizens. That's the problem here, right? It's not that they're violating the rights of black people. It's not that they're violating the rights of the mentally ill. It's not that somebody in certain paradigms and patriarchy and all this shit, right? It's not any of that critical thinking bullshit. What it is you got a bunch of bullies who enjoy violating the natural rights of other human beings. And they've chosen the only job left in America that allows them to do so. Now, regarding the police apologists, what do we do about them? Well, understand, first of all, that they're not guilty of any crime. What they are guilty of is being a personality type that thinks groups are good and individuals are evil. And I wish I had the list in front of me because I really should tell you what they all are. But basically, ENTP, which is me, I'm of the group that says individuals are good, groups are bad. ENFJ, who leads with extroverted feeling, thinks individuals are good, groups are good. Some personality types think individuals are bad, groups are good, or individuals are bad, groups are bad. And I think what ends up happening is you get a personality type who's incredibly driven by introverted sensing, which is referencing of the past, traditions, and not rocking the boat, not changing the status quo, who's incredibly driven by, it's 20 minutes, I'm going to stop it right now. Anyway, fuck the police, thanks for watching, have a good day.